Hello and welcome to Destination Timeshare. Hope everybody out there can hear me. We are now live here, February the 6th, 2022, our second live stream of the year. And I'd like to welcome everybody in who has joined us live on YouTube. And today I actually want to talk a little bit about industry consolidation. We're going to take any questions and read all the comments that you also might have. And I also have some questions for you along the way here as well. So, as far as industry consolidation, we have actually seen quite a bit up to this point. Just fairly recently, within the last 5 years, Marriott Vacation Club actually several years ago acquired Vistana. Actually, they acquired ILG, which owned Vistana, owned Sheraton Vacation Club, Westin Vacation Club, and also along with it came Hyatt Residence Club, and then more recently, just last year, Marriott Vacations Worldwide acquired Welk Resorts, and they plan to actually merge them into rebrand the resorts as Hyatts. Then just last year, and I believe it was August, Hilton Grand Vacations acquired Diamond Resorts. Kind of the big news. I actually had a video about that today. Some more changes. They're actually trying to get their combined program out there fairly quickly, it seems. So just kind of looking at the last year, we've had quite a bit of acquisitions. In fact, we had another one just fairly recently. I believe it was maybe announced this year or even in December. We had, I believe it was, Capital Resorts acquired Silver Lake Resorts. So you have lots of industry consolidation happening, and I'm kind of curious, will we see some more in the future? Let's jump into the chat and see if we have anybody here. So just Taser Travel, my wife, saying, welcome to the show. If you have any questions, be sure to post them. Yeah, so for sure, get those questions in the chat, I guess. Should be on the side, depending on what kind of device that you're using. So definitely some interesting things happening in the world of timeshare when it comes to industry consolidation. Some kind of concerns that I have. Obviously, when you have any kind of industry consolidation, you obviously have less competition out there. We saw that in the hotel acquisition of Marriott International acquiring Starwood at the time. They merged it into one program. We lost SPG and Marriott Rewards, and it became Bonvoy, the Bonvoy program. And the benefits of that program kind of aren't what they used to be, especially a lot of Starwood owners, or Starwood users, Starwood guests that stayed in their hotels. They really loved that program, and now seems to have kind of gone downhill quite a bit. And actually recently they did away with the travel packages, so you can't get those packages, discounted packages anyway, where you can get a certain number of air miles, 100,000, 50,000, and also a 5-night or 7-night certificate to stay in a hotel. They've done away with those. You now have to essentially buy them separately with points. So a little bit of disappointment there. Anytime you have industry consolidation, it's never really so much of a good thing for the consumer. There might be some benefits, but so far we're not seeing too many. Now, if we also want to look at what further consolidations could we have in the timeshare industry, and just looking at some of the resort systems that are out there, and are they potentially kind of primed to be acquired or to be acquiring. We have Capital Resorts, I mentioned them earlier, acquiring Silverleaf, but they're not a really big timeshare system. But you also have Breckenridge Grand Vacations. I believe they have 3 resorts in Breckenridge, Colorado. Vacation Village, a little bit larger system, number of resorts. Are they going to be acquiring? Are they going to be getting acquired? Not too sure. Probably not by any of the big hotel brands, at least. But hey, you never know. Then you also have Spinnaker Resorts and the much loved Westgate Resorts as well. I'm not sure anybody will move in to acquire them. But just kind of curious, what are your thoughts on industry consolidation in the timeshare world? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Let me know in the chat there. Welcome to the chat, John Lanier. It's my understanding that when we stay at Sheraton Vistana Villages, the 7 nights will not count towards Marriott Bonvoy credit. Is that true? That is actually not true. We have stayed quite a few times at Sheraton Vistana Resort, Sheraton Vistana Villages, and the key here is when you check in, because there's no real easy way to get your Bonvoy number attached to the reservation ahead of check-in. It might be possible, but really, I haven't had any success. When you check in, make sure you give them your Bonvoy number. Make sure that they put that on the reservation. You should then at least get an email when you check out with your folio, and if those nights don't post to your Bonvoy account, then open a missing stay request. Sometimes it's a bit of a challenge because, for whatever reason, they don't automatically post. You open a missing stay request, they tell you it doesn't qualify. It does qualify. You might have a little bit of trouble getting it to post, and if you're not an owner there specifically, it might be a little bit more problematic because you can't kind of say, hey, I'm an owner here, and there's specific terms and conditions in the Bonvoy terms and conditions that do state that owners staying at the resorts do get Bonvoy Elite Night credit. So if you're not an owner, at least within the Vistana system, you might have a little bit of a problem, but at least make sure your Bonvoy number is attached to that reservation. It definitely increases your chances of getting the Elite Night credit. Now, you won't get the welcome gift. You're at least technically not, you're not technically entitled to the welcome gift, whether that be 500 points or 1,000 points, depending on your Bonvoy status, whether it be gold, platinum, titanium, that kind of thing. So, just kind of curious what everybody's thoughts are here with the industry consolidation. Let's jump over here. No more messages in the chat. So just want to kind of talk about a few other things here where we, where is it here? Go back here. Just kind of want to ask you some questions about you and your timeshare. What do you think about timeshare? And specifically, the first question I have is, and while I'm waiting for your answers to show up in chat, I'll go ahead and give my response here. But what has been your favorite timeshare vacation? So this can be, whether it be the resorts you've gone to, the location, the activities, maybe what you've done in and around the area. What has been your favorite timeshare vacation? For us, we've been on a lot of timeshare vacations. And I probably actually have to go back to, I believe it was 2018. We actually went to Barbados, and we actually stayed at the Ocean 2 Resort and Residences. It's actually kind of there, kind of not there now. They've changed it a lot over the last year. It's now become a all-inclusive resort, but it was definitely a fantastic trip. The resort was actually really nice. They had really nice chairs, beautiful resort. The room was kind of just okay. It was a little dark. When we first got there, actually, the in-room laundry had a sign on it saying that the washer and dryer was broken, and if you want to do your laundry, take it to the front desk and they'll launder it for you and bring it up. We kind of complained about that, and they essentially just swapped out the laundry. But Barbados was a beautiful island. If it wasn't for the all the seaweed, then kind of had some seaweed issues that year, it would have been fantastic, but still had a fantastic time. Rented a car. First experience of my wife driving a rental car that is a right-hand drive, so it's the steering wheel's on the right and you drive on the left. So much different than driving in the United States and renting a car there. But really, the roads aren't too bad. There's only a couple of busier kind of towns. I wouldn't say cities. You obviously have Bridgetown, but for the most part, driving around there wasn't too bad. So that was our favorite timeshare vacation. Kind of curious what yours is. Drop it into the chat there and let me know. Now let's jump over here to the next one. And let's see, where are we here? What is your favorite timeshare resort? So for us, the favorite timeshare resort has to probably be, I mean, we've been to a lot, well over, I think 45, 50, something like that, a lot of different resorts. And for us, it's definitely going to be the Westin Laguna Mar in Cancun, Mexico. fantastic resort. The amenities, the pools, they have like one of the largest or the largest infinity pool in the hotel zone in Cancun. It's just fantastic. Really love the resort there at the Westin Laguna Mar. Two great big buildings. Almost all of the villas have an ocean view, so fantastic views from the villas there. There are a couple dud buildings that have crappy views. I actually have a video about that, but yeah, all of the views there are great. You have the turquoise waters of the Caribbean Sea. Fantastic resort, and it's right across the street from a huge mall with plenty of shopping and dining options over there as well. So let's jump in the chat here. We have a couple of comments here. So Coalina is John's favorite. I would have to agree that is a excellent property. We've been there, I think it was just one time, maybe two times. Fantastic property in Oahu, in Hawaii, on the, what is it, the west coast there, on the lagoons in Coalina. Fantastic. They have a luau once a week, and it's just a beautiful property. You can't go wrong with Marriott's Coalina in Oahu. And let's see, Sharon Brumley, welcome to the live stream. Spent 12 days at the Westin Cabo Resort in January. Whale migration season and had a wonderful time. A beautiful resort. I haven't been to that property. Actually, we've only been to Cancun, while in Mexico, into the on the Yucatan there. But I have heard that that is a beautiful property. You have the Westin Cabo, and then I believe there's also one right next door. Can't remember the name of it offhand for some reason, but beautiful property there is what I heard. Seen the pictures of it. It looks fantastic, and I can just imagine during whale migration season, seeing the whales breaching just off the shore there would definitely be wonderful. Frank Carini, welcome to the chat. Newport, Rhode Island is your favorite timeshare destination, I guess. We've I don't know if we drove through Newport when we did a big trip back in 2004, where we drove all the way up the East Coast into Nova Scotia and Cape Breton Trail, and then drove all the way back. It was a long trip. We definitely drove through Rhode Island. Just not sure. Can't really remember too much about Newport. Favorite timeshare resort for Sharon is the Westin Laguna Mar. That we haven't been there either. I know they just kind of redid it because it was destroyed. A lot of damage from those hurricanes a few years ago. So definitely is a wonderful resort. Definitely a hard resort to get into, both for Vistana owners using star options as well as anybody trying to exchange in through Interval. It's almost impossible. So definitely a difficult resort to get into. I know that. We definitely want to try and get there someday in the future. Just not too sure when it will be. Probably when a lot of these restrictions and stuff kind of make it a little bit easier, kind of go away, make it a little bit easier to get into those kinds of places. We have been to the U.S. Virgin Islands several times, and we've actually been to St. John a couple times on cruise excursions. So we took a cruise. It came into the U.S. Virgin Islands into St. Thomas, and we essentially took excursions through the ship, essentially, so we could just get off the ship, get on a little ferry that would take us straight to St. John, and went and hung out at Trunk Bay. One other trip, we spent a little bit of time at the beach, and then we hired a taxi guy to take us around the island, show us the island. I think it was only like $25 or $30 per person, so definitely a great way to see that. Both of those islands, if you're on a cruise, is just take a taxi excursion. It's cheap, definitely much cheaper than excursions through the cruise line. Wonderful resort, though, from what I've heard, as is Frenchman's Cove on St. Thomas. Heard that's also a wonderful resort, too. So, Jerry Riggin says, my wife and I vacation once a year to California or Florida for 4 or 5 days, and we usually do an Airbnb. Just wondering if a timeshare would be worth it, or should we continue to use Airbnb? Well, I'll be honest with you. We've never actually used Airbnb. Well, I guess we should say we did one time book an Airbnb. That was that trip to Barbados. We had 7 nights in the timeshare at the Ocean 2 Resort and Residences. And then we had rented a Airbnb for, I believe it was 5 nights. When we got there, we found out that the living area wasn't air conditioned, just the bedroom's air conditioned, which I guess is apparently fairly common. We should have read up on that a little bit more. But the worst part was that there's also shutters on the windows to the outside in that living area that weren't sealed, weren't closed. It was just shutters, and critters and stuff could get in. But that really wasn't anything to do with Airbnb. But considered with Airbnb, a lot of times you're essentially renting what could be somebody's home, somebody's second home, somebody's vacation home. You may not always be in kind of the touristy areas. There's obviously exceptions here. You might very well be in a residential neighborhood with other homes around you and nearby. And usually the amenities, for the most part, aren't the greatest. If I'm talking just kind of traditional home rentals, you might have a pool, might have a hot tub. It's definitely private. Might be great for a large family, for maybe a reunion. We've rented through home rental sites before in the past when we've gone to the Outer Banks. Always had a great time, especially good for large families, big groups. The thing about timeshare to consider is you're essentially renting essentially when you own timeshare and you're staying there, you can actually a lot of times rent timeshare resorts through Airbnb. And when you're renting there or staying there, these are essentially full-blown resorts, full-service resorts, almost like staying at a hotel resort, except, you're most likely going to have a bigger room, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, 3 bedrooms, full kitchens, full living room, dining room. So the thing to consider with a timeshare, at least the hotel brand timeshares, Marriott's, Vistanas, these are full-fledged resorts. You have multiple pools, water slides, kids activities, daily activities, an on-site restaurant, an on-site food and beverage service, a little store, full check-in, full housekeeping. If you need any towels, anything like that, they'll bring them to you. If you need any extra supplies, you don't need to worry about going out to the store to get them. You need toilet paper, you need soap. Just ask them and they'll bring it to you. So the difference is in the experience, essentially, of what I'm thinking is I'm not renting and staying in somebody's home in a residential neighborhood. I want the full resort experience. The cost might be about the same when you compare ownership to an Airbnb. It's definitely something to consider, because if you buy a timeshare, you're essentially locked into those maintenance fees and with ownership, where with Airbnb, you're essentially just renting per night and you're not locked into anything. So definitely something to consider. Definitely, if you're considering timeshare, look for some timeshares on Airbnb, on Vrbo, even go out, Red Week, Koala, those kinds of websites. Check out some timeshare rentals. Try and rent a timeshare, see what you think, and do your own comparison to Airbnb. All right, so let's go back here. What other questions we have? Frank loves Vistana. We own Vistana too. Vistana is a great program. Sheraton and Westin Vacation Clubs. The Joker Speaks says, we got sideswiped in St. John. Passenger across from us had just moved his elbow out of the way just in time. Oh, so basically, those roads are narrow. I'll agree. We've been on those, and they like to drive really fast past each other. It's almost like a race or something. So you can drive the fastest, and I don't know. It's crazy. So yeah, I would agree. It's like, if keep your arms and hands inside the vehicle at all times. They tell you they tell you that at the Disney rides, the Universal rides at all the theme parks. It's true also, I guess, either in a taxi or maybe even if you're driving a car in St. Thomas or the U.S. Virgin Islands. Those taxis there are kind of like a taxi truck, a safari truck, where they have like 6 or 7 rows and they just pack everybody in there. It's kind of interesting taxis there in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Adventures by Nick says, will you be doing a video anytime soon discussing what's open at Orlando area resort, specifically Vistana Villages? Saw one from a year ago, but was wondering about updates. So unfortunately, probably not about Sheraton Vistana Villages. We, trying to remember the last time we were there. There's been so many of them. But we were at Sheraton Vistana Resort back in December, and I did a resort update video there. But the last time we were at Sheraton Vistana Villages, everything was open. The Breezes, I believe it's called, Breezes Bar and Grill at the Bella Pool, that was open. Essentially just you walk up, you order, they give you a pager, you come back, you pick it up, that kind of thing. I don't know if there's any actual kind of table service there at the little patio that they have. They used to have that. There is the Florida Boutique. That was still closed when we were there before. I don't think that's reopened yet. I haven't heard anything or seen anything about that. The Marketplace is reopened. It's actually under different management. It's no longer owned or managed by the resort itself or by Vistana. It's actually managed by it's an outside entity that does that. So they brought in an outside entity to do the Marketplace, and there is a bar over there at the Marketplace is over at the St. Augustine section, the St. Augustine pool. There is a bar over there. I believe they actually started to open that up on weekends, at least. The last time we were there for somewhat length of time, and they actually were opening that, I believe, on the weekends or if they were busy. So they might have that open there as well. All of the pools are open. All of the other amenities are open. I really haven't seen any mention of activities yet, and there really weren't any activities that I could tell when we were there before. Like not even poolside bingo, poolside trivia, or anything like that. So unfortunately, we won't be back probably in quite a while. We don't have any specific timeshare trips planned until July. Can you believe it? It's been quite a while, or it will be quite a while. Okay, so what else do we have here? I started doing, actually, you guys aren't even seeing me. I'm just talking. I apologize. Let me go back over here to change this back to me. Now you can see me again. I apologize. I didn't realize I had that question up the whole time I was talking. All right, so let's look at the chat here again. Frank says, I started doing timeshare in 1981. Done most of the East Coast. That is excellent. Awesome. Timeshare is definitely, the longer you own timeshare, the better off you can, or the better off you are, because the longer you own it, you're spreading those costs out over a longer period of time, obviously, except for the annual maintenance fee. But yeah, the longer that you own timeshare, that's great. 1981. We didn't get in, we're just baby timeshare users compared to you. We didn't get into timeshare until 2007. So Adventures by Nick says, thanks. Have a trip planned for the end of April. Enjoy your trip. It is a beautiful resort. We really actually love the not St. Augustine, I was going to say St. Augustine section. We've stayed there. We've stayed in Bella. We've stayed in Amelia. But we actually really love the Key West section. The last time we were there, we actually just stayed maybe just 1 or 2 nights, and it felt like going back home. We'd stayed there a lot in the past in the Key West section. Really love the buildings there. Love the villas there. They're not fully refreshed like super recently, at least not as recently as St. Augustine and Amelia, but fantastic villas there. We really like that section. Let's see what else we have here. Frank is saying, I go to Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg. Have you ever been there? So we used to live in Ohio, and we've since moved to Florida, but we did we did visit the Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg area, Smoky Mountains National Park. I'll tell you, I only need to go once, to be honest with you. It is not a place we would probably go back to. I mean, it was beautiful, and it was nice to be able to go and check it out. But when we left, of course, we went over, I believe it was over a weekend. And when we left, it was just bumper-to-bumper traffic to get out. It's one road in, one road out, right? We're going to the north, and man, it was, it's not a place I'd probably go back to. It is definitely kind of your kind of touristy trap thing. We've been to Niagara Falls. St. Augustine has a little bit of it as well. It is a beautiful area, and I know a lot of people that enjoy that, love going to that area. A lot of people go and rent cabins, stay in the hills, stay in the mountain area, stay out in the woods, renting a cabin. So definitely is a beautiful area. And yeah, but we probably, now that we're in Florida, we probably won't get back there anytime soon, probably, if at all. All right, so Adventures by Nick says, we love Key West, staying there for this trip, hopefully. Yeah, so definitely let them know, call them up maybe a few weeks ahead if you haven't already, and let them know that that's the section you want. I find when I'm checking in that they're actually pretty flexible, especially if you're an owner there. If you're not, I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but I just let them know when I'm checking in, hey, I want to stay in the Key West section. I think they assign you a room ahead of time, but even if they don't, or even if they do or don't, just ask them, say, hey, I want to stay in Key West or whatever section it might be. And they've always been flexible. I mean, we've been there so many times. we check in kind of at the VIP section, and I let them know every time that, hey, I want to stay here or here, and they're always great to get along with. So, yeah. Would you recommend one of the destination resort for people to visit at least once? What would it be? So if you could recommend one destination or resort for people to visit at least once, what would it be? I think I'd have to say Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii, if you haven't been to Hawaii, and it's not so much for the resorts, because all the resorts there are fantastic. We've been to Maui Ocean Club, the Westin Ka'anapali Ocean Resort Villas, and we've also been to Ko'olina. We stayed downtown in Waikiki. I think we've been 4 different trips there. And Hawaii is just unique all in itself. And it's just fantastic. Like I said, the resorts are fantastic. But if you haven't been to Hawaii, I think Hawaii is at least a must-do for everybody. It is kind of touristy, especially Oahu and Maui. Lots of traffic, lots of tourists. But try and go in the off-season. Try and go when it's a little bit slower, maybe October, November, first couple weeks of December, or in the spring and May. It won't be quite as busy, but you definitely have lots of tourists. But it is fantastic. I mean, it's beautiful whether you have mountain views or ocean views. You can see so much, do so much. You can drive around. The views are magnificent just about anywhere in Hawaii. And then Melissa says, as for a resort, I'd have to say the Westin Lagoon Mar in Cancun, and I would actually agree with that too. So destination-wise, I would say Hawaii, and but resort-wise, absolutely, the Westin Lagoon Mar in Cancun is fantastic. And if you want to get out and explore there too, you have Chichen Itza, you have Tulum to the south, the Riviera Maya. It's all beautiful there as well, and that resort is definitely top-notch. One more question here that I have, and I'll try and remember to flip back off the question, but we have the last question I have here for you, and for me as well, is where is the furthest you have traveled for a timeshare vacation? So whether it be, probably, I'm thinking from the way I'm going to answer this is from my home, what's the furthest flung destination that you have been to? So I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on this. I'd have to probably say it's Hawaii. We've been to Barbados, but that, like I said, that actually isn't quite as far away as Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii's out in the middle of the Atlantic. What am I thinking? You might almost think I didn't know my geography. Out in the middle of the Pacific. So for us, it's Hawaii. We haven't been to places like Australia, never been to Asia, never been to South America. We are planning a trip to the Marriott Ville de France in Paris this year, and that's kind of one of the plans that we're working on. So I still think, though, Hawaii is further than that. So kind of curious, put in the chat down below, to the side, wherever it might be, put in the chat, what is the furthest you've been away? And it looks like the Joker Speaks here is Waikiki. Yeah, like for us, it's Hawaii. Can't get much further than that. We've been to 4 of the islands, so I guess technically from home, Kauai is the furthest we've been. We went to Kauai Lagoons, a Marriott Vacation Club property there on Hawaii, and beautiful property, beautiful island called the Garden Isle. So that's the furthest one we've been to. All right, so kind of just going back to industry consolidation, just curious, do you have any thoughts on this? It was kind of an idea I thought to kind of talk about industry consolidation on this live stream, because, you know, it's just one of those things, you can't do anything about it, and change is inevitable in the timeshare industry. If you've owned timeshare long enough, you know nothing stays the same, whether it be trade power, whether it be the resorts you're easily able to get into now are going to be hard later. We've actually noticed a lot of change just over the past several years, where obviously with the pandemic, nobody was traveling, and prices for resorts, getaways were super cheap. Exchanging into them was super easy, and obviously before that it was difficult. But we go back quite a few years, we actually super easy to exchange into a lot of places. Going to Hawaii, that kind of thing, wasn't very hard to exchange at all. And it kind of fluctuates over the years. Sometimes it's an easy exchange, sometimes it's not so easy. And getaway prices, though, this year are just ridiculous. I mean, we've been looking at some getaway prices for Orlando. Going to Orlando, and it's just outrageous. I mean, it's like a one bedroom is $1,000. Like, I'm not going to pay $1,000. I mean, it's actually kind of cheap if you compare it to the maintenance fees. But I mean, there were some times where getaways, even 6-7 years ago, were $400-500 for a 2-bedroom. Now they're wanting, in some cases, for a 2-bedroom, it's even like $1,500. It's just really, really expensive. Definitely, a lot is changing in the timeshare industry, and I'm sure a lot more is going to change because, like we know, Hilton acquired Diamond Resorts. They actually changed the number of points that Hilton owners get for their ownership, or they're going to be in February 24th. They're increasing that by 60%. I did a video about that this morning. And yeah, so change always seems to be inevitable. It doesn't matter what timeshare you own, what system you own. They're always changing things around, and we know something's going to be changing with Marriott Vacation Club. It was kind of a topic of the last live stream back in January on the 2nd, where we talked about the speculation and rumors about Marriott Vacation Club. So, yeah, that's what industry consolidation will do, because when they consolidate, they decide, hey, we need to pay for this acquisition, so we need to change things to be able to charge the owners more money, or be able to sell them some type of new product to make up for the purchase in order to pay for that purchase. So definitely something to be concerned about, keep an eye on, and make sure that we don't get ripped off in the process. John says Hawaii, so I'm guessing that's the furthest away he's been on a timeshare vacation. Yeah, Hawaii is beautiful. It is a long trip, especially from the East Coast. When we flew there, it was always when we were in Ohio. We usually flew, I think we flew through Chicago at least 2 or 3 of the times. And from there, it's like a 8 or 9 hour flight from Chicago to Waikiki. And then a couple of times we actually flew through, I think it was Denver or LA. Definitely a long flight to get there. Okay, so I don't see too many other questions in the chat, so I think we'll probably wrap this up. We've been about, looks like 35 minutes here on today's live stream. Try to keep these between half an hour and 45 minutes. Last one was about 45 minutes, so we're going to just kind of finish this up today. Definitely appreciate everybody who joined in on today's live stream. Whether you participated in the chat or not, whether you just watched, listened, however it is that you tuned in, definitely appreciate you joining us here. And I guess we'll probably see you next time. Next live stream, the first Sunday of every month, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So the next one, I don't know the exact date without looking at a calendar, but just remember, first Sunday of the month at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Be sure to join us here on Destination Timeshare, where we will talk timeshare. So I appreciate you joining. If you liked the video, be sure to hit thumbs up. It really does help out the videos if you can hit thumbs up down below. And also, if you're not subscribed, be sure to do so. So then you'll be notified, or YouTube will let you know, hey, Destination Timeshare and Jeremy has posted a new video. So as always, at the end of my videos, I like to say, thanks for watching. And until next time, remember, the best destination is always a timeshare.